Our film begins with a man named Roger, who is a very rich person, and after the death of his wife, Lula, he meets a beautiful woman named Rania, and after a year of dating, they get married. Then we get to know his only son, Eric, who is in the garden and sees his stepmother with her sister, Lizzie, and looks at them. He enters the house and goes to his father's room, and we discover that his father is sitting in a wheelchair because he was involved in an accident 3 years ago, and his first wife died because of this accident, but he lived and that is why he keeps her. Picture in the office. We then see them at dinner, and Rania's sister will be living with them. Then Eric quarrels with his father and asks him to give him more freedom so he can spend the night outside the house, but Roger he refuses the topic, and for this reason he gets into trouble at dinner. Then he goes to his room, and the Rania enters him and asks him to give his son his freedom, and he tells her, "Take care of me and do not care about my son." Then he enters into a relationship with her, and when he finishes, he tells her, "Can I show you something to eat or not?" But she gets upset because she is not a babysitter for his son, and she gets upset and goes to her sister's room and sleeps for the next day. You meet Eric at the barn, and he looks admiring, but he is wary because Rania took his mother's place. Then his father asks him to take him to a special place, and Eric carries out his request. He takes him in the car, and Rania looks at them from the window and is annoyed because they left her alone, and Eric sees her and ignores her, and then Lizzie enters the kitchen and tells her, "You have everything." Something other than intelligence, because if I were you, I would keep my husband's son close to me because he is his only son and it is impossible for Roger to leave him, no matter what mistakes he makes, and you say take advantage of the opportunity and leave them both. We are close to you, and Rania doesn't know what to do because Eric is always staying away from her, and she decides to go to Eric's friend Mina to get closer to her, and Mina asks him who this is and he tells her he is his wife. "My father," and then she goes to her husband and tells him that your son loves a girl, and he is surprised and asks her who it is, after Rania takes him to the balcony to see them, and he is happy for his son, but he is not upset because she saw that her sister was happy that Eric had a girlfriend, because she wanted to control the house, but Rania had her intentions, and Lacey preferred to watch them nervously from the door and became more fanatical. When you see them loving each other, but suddenly you hear Eric's voice and run away from the place quickly. Eric passes by the room and sees his father loving Rania and feeling jealous of Rania. But he leaves quickly, and the next day, Mina goes with Eric, and they spend time shopping, and then they have lunch at an upscale restaurant, Bacon and Rogers, and we notice that he asked Mina to be. Her hair is messy, and the reason Rania has hair like that, and it shows that he is imagining Rania in the place of Mina, and Lizzie goes to her sister's husband and tells him that if she was in your place, I would have taken care, because your son is young. He is handsome and Rania is a beautiful and young woman, and everything can happen, especially since a big house is like yours, and you are in a wheelchair, so be careful, as he gets angry and shouts at her and says, "Stick to your limits and don't tell him the time will come and you will see with your own eyes." Here, Roger gets angry and enters the house and sees Rania bathing, and he is shocked by her beauty and watches her. He is surprised that he is sitting in a wheelchair and cannot be an ideal husband for her, and she is surprised by his entry, but he gets angry and tells her to lock the door while she is taking a shower, because his son might enter suddenly. He sees her and Rania, then she goes out to the garden and sees Eric and Mina sitting, and she sits with them. Eric finds control over himself and decides to leave the place, and Mina goes after him, telling Rania that they left her. That's why she gets upset and goes to her room and sees Roger's notebook, in which he wrote all of his wife's memories and everything they lived together. She gets angry and controls herself, but Roger suddenly enters her and she asks him why you married me if he is attached to your first wife and I am losing my relationship with her and you only care about yourself and your dead wife, and Roger says it. He married her because he loves her and she doesn't believe him, and a quarrel breaks out between them, and Mina and Eric hear their voices and Eric tells her that he knows their marriage will fail, after which Rania goes with. I show you to see his car after he finishes his period, and he will continue to walk around the city with her, and this will be his chance to stay with her and try to have a nap with her, and she tells him that. She wants to go on a boat, and his father will not know because he is sitting in a chair and Rania is taking off her clothes to swim in the sea, and her clothes will be hers, and that is why she is putting down a towel. I see you getting close to her and telling her that my father is a lucky person, and she says that there is no difference between you and him. You and him are precious to me, and we see that Lacey followed them in the car and is watching them from afar. He sees Eric getting closer to Rania. She leaves him alone. Lacey sees what is happening and is shocked and says to herself, I asked you to get closer to him, not to have a relationship with him. Then they go to the garden and Rania asks him to forget that she is his stepmother and that he treats her like a friend. He laughs and says it is like a lover, and at breakfast Eric looks at Rania and he touches her leg from the inside, and Lacey understands everything that is happening. When Roger eats food, he asks his son to take him to the room, and Lacey tells her that she is doing something, and Rania says that she did not do anything. And tell me, I saw you yesterday with Eric, and I asked you to get close to him and not go and kiss him, and I warned her not to ruin her marriage because they will lose the property when they leave suddenly. They hear Lizzie's voice while she is talking to Rania, and she makes her sister understand that she must take the palace so that they have an inheritance if something happens to the marriage, and Eric hears them and becomes angry. He goes to his mother because the palace was built by his mother. While he was going to his father, he saw his horse falling on the ground and called the doctor quickly, and Rania went to check on him. You comfort him, but he remains silent without speaking, and the doctor tells him that the horse is sick and must rest for a month, and Eric is at peace after that and sits with his father, and Roger asks him why, which makes him upset, but he doesn't respond, and Mina goes to Rania and tells her about the words that Eric heard, and she says it's been a while and she's leaving the palace, and Rania says it's impossible for Roger to abandon me. Then she goes to Eric to make him understand that there was a misunderstanding, and he tells her that he was stupid, even though I knew that you and your sister were greedy, and she tells him that this is her sister, and Lacey's plan is to read her mind and say that I am ready to do everything to express my love for you and your father, and he tells her that you are trying to tempt me all the time, and that this is all part. It's your sister's plan, but she doesn't love me, and she says it's impossible to fake my love for you, but Eric gets angry and tells her that she's at home only for fun, and that his father only married her to serve him. She gets angry and shouts at him, and here Eric hits her and tries to assault her, and she resists, but then she weakens and leaves herself alone. Why does Eric enter into a relationship with her, but Roger enters? He sees them together, and here he is shocked and confirms what Lacey said and leaves quietly. Eric goes to Roger, and Roger gets angry and tries to hit him, but Eric holds his hand and says, no. I will let you hit me because someone like Rania tells him everything she was planning and that they intended to take the palace. Roger is shocked and does not believe his son after seeing Rania. And Eric says, for a while, you ignored my looks at Rania and I tried to stay up outside the house, but you were guarding me at home with Rania, and that's why we developed feelings after that. He leaves his mother and leaves the place, and Rania comes out behind him and tries to stop him, telling him that all my concern is to please you and your father, and I do not covet anything. Why not? I show you, are your intentions really pure? Go, confess everything to my father, and Rania has two choices, to confess the truth or to let Eric leave the house, because she is the one who knows the truth because it is their plan, but she decides the right decision, and she goes to her husband and tells him that everything his son says is true, and it is not me who tried to ruin my mind with the issue of the palace, and I did not enter the house with the intention of greed, and he says it, I know. Your sister is behind everything, because if the palace was your concern, you would not have confessed the truth, because your sister was planting wrong words in my brain, and Roger forgives her, but Lacey takes her things and leaves. Roger apologizes to his son because he does not believe his words and asks him to stay with them in the palace because he does not want his son to be away from him, and tells him to take his freedom because he has become a conscious person and then return. Then things return to normal and Rania stays in the palace with Roger. Roger sees his wife sitting in the sun sunbathing in the garden. What is strange is that he does not talk about the relationship that happened between Rania and his son, as if he was satisfied all the time with the relationship that existed between his wife and his son, and in the end, Rania preferred to be with them both, and here the movie ends. If you liked the movie, don't forget to do so. Like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next movie.